Zomato is like losing sales by 50% in one particular area. What will you do? At that point, you have to deep dive into like some most of the people will say like, oh, okay, then I'll push more and more discounts. I'll just make the more and more restaurants, visible, discoverable, and all. But that is not the right approach. A product manager should do. Product manager should deep down. Okay, what do you mean by a drop in sales? Is there any particular demographic in which? Is it a technical problem? Is it a problem because of a competitor? So all these things you're supposed to evaluate and then come up with the best solution. So that is how a business case runs like.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the series named The Placement Guide, where we help students to know about the hiring processes of their dream companies and different career opportunities. Today, we have a very special guest amongst us whose name is Sriram Pingali. He had earlier done product management internships in Walkover and R&D internship at TCS. He had also done research internships at Sony Research, Greyc, AI-ML-NLP Lab at IIT Patna, along with publishing various papers in top conferences. He had also won multiple times business case competitions in a team event, and he is currently working as an associate product manager in Yellow.ai. He recently graduated from IIT Patna in 2022. It's really an amazing profile, Sriram. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming up to this.
Thank you for the introduction, Madhu. I'm very excited to be here and share whatever knowledge I can to your audience.
So before we proceed, do like and share this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe the channel for more such videos. Let's deep dive into your journey, Sriram. So how did you develop interest towards product management and startups coming from an engineering background?
All right. Good question, Madhu. So, as a lot of people do during their BTech courses, like explore various different fields, right? So that's what I did also, right? So I just wanted to explore various fields and see what sticks, right? So I think that is something which every bachelor student is supposed to be doing. And when I got into various internships in product management, right, and that's when I figured out that my core skills were being most utilized per se, right? So that's when I knew that this is a niche domain where I would want to start off my career in. So basically, my interest was, budding up through internships and various other experience I had in my college.
So can you tell how does your typical day looks like while working in Yellow.ai as a product management role?
So I'll just explain what Yellow AI does in general, and then how my role or my
Mhm.
expertise, fits into the whole bigger picture. So Yellow AI is a conversational AI platform. So what we specialize in is in a very personalized experience. So we are a business to business enterprise, right? So we provide conversational AI solutions to our clients, and the goal is to eventually provide a seamless customer experience for the end user, right? So you can see now there are lots of chatbots out there, like in e-commerce platforms, so which are very dumb. They don't understand the context. And if I just say like, okay, this is what I help with, if I just type it out, they most usually like, oh, so I'm sorry, I don't understand what you want to do. So this sort of hampers the whole customer
Hmm.
experience process. So that is one of the use case. We excel in a lot of these kind of applications, NLP applications, and we have over 1,500 clients in India and also around the world, around the globe, right? So we are a industry lead in that segment in conversational AI and automating customer experience. So that's a bit about the company, right? So as a product manager, what I do is, in a broad sense, see how all of the bits and pieces fit into place. So my job is mostly like in a day, right? It looks like you have to interact with the engineering team, have to interact with the analytics team, have to interact with the sales team, have to interact with the marketing team. So we have to understand where there's a demand in the in the product or in the market, right? And then see how that is valuable to our business, and is it relevant for our audience, or is it relevant for our product? And then discuss the feasibility with engineering. So you see that there are lots and lots of differentiated segments, right? You have to, of course, the engineering team will not know what is the
Hmm.
business requirement, and the sales team will not know what to pitch. So all these things are very segregated, and product manager is a person who like connects the dots. So it's very abstract in the sense, but also very demanding role.
Yeah, that's really an interesting role. So, can you tell about the shortlisting process followed by Yellow.ai and some of the interview questions?
Right. So I'll just tell in general, like how can you crack into a product management role, right?
Hmm.
So the core skill which you need in a product management role is sort of having a business sense. So that word is very cliche. It might not make a lot of sense, but let me explain, right? So you are a product manager or any manager in general, could be an engineering manager, program. There's a lot of words out there. But what you have to do is basically you'll have options in front of you. You'll have a problem, and then you'll be put forth multiple options. Or sometimes there might not be even options. Options, by options I mean solutions, right? So what your job is to evaluate all these things using concrete evidences and metrics, and then come up with the best option to proceed, right? So this nobody does in general, right? So this is somebody like a product or a product manager. People look up to a product manager to give answers, right? So of course there's a lot of solutions which a lot of people can come up with, but what is the right thing at the right moment? So that is what you need to know. So that is in general called a business sense. So that is a very soft skill which is not, easily developed. It is developed through experience, not through any courses or anything, right? So what people look for in a typical
Hmm.
interview is that they look whether or not you have some sort of a relevant experience in the domain. Have you been in a role where you have to, make decisions based on data, right? So they look at experience. So you should be able to talk about your past experiences and how you are have you used your business sense or analytical ability to do some sort of a task, right? So even the interview process also follows that sort of a route. They'll ask you typical business case rounds, like they'll give you a problem statement and they'll see how you will how you tackle the evidence. If they tell you that something like, okay, this is our product, Zomato, let's just say we're dealing with Zomato, and the problem statement itself is like, Zomato is like losing its sales by 50% in one particular area. What will you do? At that point, you have to deep dive into like some most of the people will say like, oh, okay, then I'll push more and more discounts. I'll just make the more and more restaurants, visible, discoverable, and all. But that is not the right approach. A product manager should do. Product manager should
Hmm.
deep down. Okay, what do you mean by a drop in sales? Is there any particular demographic in which there's a uh, drop in sales? Is it a technical problem? Is it a problem because of a competitor? So all these things you're supposed to evaluate and then come up with the best solution. I- so that is how a business case runs like. Another important skill is a product sense, right? So if you already decided on building a feature or a product, right, how should it look? How should the look and feel be like? How should the user experience be like? What's the best way to implement a solution? Right. So if you want to book a cab, right, is a best implementation like calling a number and telling that this is your location, or is the best implementation doing that in the user interface, or should you do that in a chat-based environment? So there are lots of options, right? Anything can be implemented in the technical world, but what is the best
Hmm.
approach? If there's a calculator to be built for blind people, is the best way to do it in sort of a voice based thing. So what is a 17 square plus 25, whatever, or should you be able to draw it on a board? So all these various things are known as product sense. So in an interview they ask you like business cases, a test you on business cases, and b on product sense. So it's an in-depth answer for the question of interviews. Hope that helps.
Yeah, that would be really helpful to a lot of the college students. So basically, first principles thinking, knowing more about the business, and problem solving skills are some of the essential skills required for a product role. So
Exactly.
can you share some of your key learnings from your product internship at Walkover?
Right. So initially, I talked about one of the few internships which got me interested in the product management domain itself, right? So this is one of the things. Right? So again, Walkover was a it's a web solution based company, right? It's a SaaS product, and there's a product which is like nascent and it was budding up at that moment. And there was no proper analytics set up for the product. At that point, I interviewed with my product manager and the senior product manager, and I was hired to, uh, deal with analytics. So to integrate analytics for the new product. So analytics is of course like if you're going to launch a new product, you have to understand like how it is functioning in the market. You can't just build it and leave it out there in the market. You have to daily keep assessing how the product is, building up. Where are users facing difficulties? What are the user requirements? All these things come under analytics. So my job was to, identify if there's a platform. So there's a web page, like normally, like in any of the SaaS-based products, there's a platform which you will fall into. You have to see like at what point. I mean, these are all easily trackable things. How are users, like what buttons are they clicking? What flows are they going in? All these things I kind of dealt with, and I identified breakpoints. So breakpoints is like where users drop off the process or where users are finding difficulties and all. So I sort of worked on the user experience part of it all. So that was a little bit about my internship at Walkover.
So like understanding customer journey and seeing like in which parts what they are doing, like where they are dropping, where they are engaging more is are some of the key learnings from that internship.
Exactly. So more important learning was to be
Yeah.
able to come up with metrics for your product. So that is a very important skill
Hmm.
a product manager should have.
So how should a beginner prepare for product role internships?
Right. So for a fresher, right? So I'll tell the technical aspect of it and the soft skills, or rather, the best approaches to land an interview. The technical aspect or the technical skills which you need to know is like business cases, which I talked about initially, and product sense. So these type of questions you can easily find in YouTube, or there are many blogs like product thinking. I think pmexercises.com, so that is a good platform. Exponent, try exponent.com, so that is a good platform. There are lots of sources out there where you can actually build a business case and product sense, right? So that is one thing. But more importantly, for a fresher, right? So it is very hard to be able to justify your product sense, right? So of course, you can say like I've did this course, I've did that course, but that is not very relevant for for you to get hired. The most important thing is to be building a network in the product. So product as a domain is a very niche. There are lots of specialized people out there, and because of the complexity or the technicality involved in that particular role, there are very few people also. So it's not like an engineering role. Engineering roles, there are multitude of engineering roles in all of the companies.
Hmm.
If you have to get into a product role, usually the bigger companies they look at MBA. But if you're a fresher and if you want to break into a product, you have to build a really good network, connect with as many product folks as you can, and then keep showcasing your business sense or product sense in LinkedIn, or make a portfolio for yourself. Keep posting stuff like I've done this and this business case. So this is the product which we came up with. Sort of, if you did win an award, then showcase that. You sort of impress people that you are a person who understand what the market requires, right? And how do you build products? So these kind of things, if you can showcase, it's very easy to be able to crack an interview. And also, if you want to, fast forward that particular process, you yourself can reach out to a lot of people and say like, hey, this is my portfolio. I've seen this product. I think like your product could be improved in this places. I mean, if you just say that I want a job in your company, nobody will take you really seriously.
Hmm.
But if you can quantitatively be able to show your portfolio and say that this is how I think the product could be made better, then you'll be able to make a really good first impression and very easily land around. So it's all about networking. If you have a good alumni base, you can use referrals. So that is really important. You don't just stick to the theory aspect of it. Definitely be able to do a network. But if you want to start technically, so product analyst is a role, like especially for engineers, this is. Product analyst is a role which usually comes on campus itself. If you're able to do that for a year or so, then you'll be easily able to shift into a product management role within your company or in another company. So these are the two approaches. Either you network very much or you start in a technical role, learn a lot more, and then shift into a product.
Yeah, that's a really nice perspective to enter into this product management space. So, can you say how one can do research internships in AI NLP space based on your own experiences?
Okay, so in my college, so since this was a technical university where I studied in IIT Patna, so a lot of my experience in the initial stages was more technically driven. So I was just exploring various domains, as I mentioned earlier, right? And this is kind of like an accidental discovery, I would say. There was an opening at one of our, so Dr. Sriparna Saha, she's a really close mentor of mine, a lifelong guide, I would say. But then, yeah, that was a moment like she had a role under her, and I was looking out for more and more experiences, and then I sort of liked the project. That is where I entered in AI and data science domain in general. And then this sort of felt like a technical domain which is sort of booming and also very much interesting. So at that point, I sort of upskilled myself and looked for a more and more technically driven, very specialized roles also. So yeah, that's how I was able to showcase my portfolio and land research roles in bigger and bigger companies, like for example Sony Research Institute, which is a very prestigious role. And also I have foreign university internships, University of Saint Normandy, France. All these things.
So, can you say which were the skills that were required during your work at research internships in AI ML NLP space based on your different internship experiences?
Right. For specifically in a research domain, right? So the most important thing which you should have is surprisingly not programming skills or something. The thing is, you need to be very much inquisitive, right? So if there's a problem statement, if you can just come up with one solution and do it, and you can be done for the day. But research itself involves building top on. So if there's one particular benchmark, how can you make it better? How can you make that better? Keep on building. So you have to be able to look out for the latest and greatest publications or the most recent works in this domain and be able to implement that in our own domain. So that is a skill which you need to have. Like, how can you discover more and more things? Yeah.
So, can you tell something about your business case competitions and which skills were helpful to you to win those competitions?
Right. So business cases, okay, the most important thing is for you to understand, like, so if you are in a team, right? So business cases you typically do in a team. Uh, where I helped the whole thing is like to be able to understand, like, if there are five people, all five of them will have very much varied thought processes, and all of them will be very good, But then the most important thing is to be able to align all of them in the same direction, right? All of them should not be stubborn, and they should be like inquisitive and very much open to other ideas also. That is something which I was able to enable. So that is one of my strongholds, I would say. So I understand, like, how can all teams collaborate, and who specializes in what, whose strength is what. So I can understand that, and be able to split the jobs accordingly. So that is something which I was able to do any team competition, not just business case. Specifically, business cases like involves a lot of research also, which I was good at, and also working with teams. So all these things help me sort of crack multiple business cases.
So basically, leadership skills and delegation skills are some of the softer parts of the skills which are really essential to perform well as a team.
Yeah,
So, can you tell about your greatest learning being the head of the entrepreneurship cell at IIT Patna?
right. So one of the most important learnings or takeaways I had from my experience in entrepreneurship cell is that you sh whatever visions or plans that you have, they might not, completely work out during your tenure, or I mean, some of them might be out of your strength itself, right? So you should be able to trust your team to be able to complement whatever your strengths are. So that is something which I learned as an overall head. Like there's at some point you things will of course get more and more overwhelming, and uh, only when you will be able to trust your team and the future generations in a body, that's when you succeed as an organization.
So, can you tell some resources which were helpful to you to develop your deep learning and the product related understandings?
So for deep learning, I did multiple courses. So you can actually try Udacity, which I personally enjoyed a lot. There are also courses which are developed by Indian content makers also. One of them is called AI Fourth Labs, I guess. It's a program by IIT Madras people. You can find it in GUVI, So that was a it helped me like build all the technical skills and working in various projects also. So that is for the deep learning part. And product understanding is something which I actually built during my tenure as an entrepreneurship cell, right? So when we are organizing various different programs or activities and all, so I was able to understand like uh, what works, what sticks, uh, how will you able to drive product engagement and all these sort of skills. You actually learn that when you're in a really good position of responsibility. So yeah, that is how I was able to do it. And you should be able to work on your own projects.
So, practical experiences really help to develop different skills in related to product
Exactly.
management. So, any last message that you would like to give to all our viewers who wanted to get into product management space?
Right. So I'll just give a very generic advice, right? So for people who are actually like going through the studies or in the phase where you actually turn from a child into an adult, right? So this is the point where you have to explore yourself and also the world. You see like what your likes and dislikes are, where your strengths and weaknesses are, and you sort of align that towards not just your career but your life in general. Look out for more and more hobbies, do things of your interests, keep diving deep. And of course, Madhur is, I don't have to tell specifically, Madhur is a guy to look up to in that domain. But yeah, you should be able to discover yourself and see what fits, right? Don't be shy for to learn about new experiences, right? Always be very, uh, you know, very active, hyperactive, and yeah, just explore, keep exploring.
Yeah, that's a really nice advice. Like new students should explore more and more fields, and instead of getting into FOMO, into the most trending fields, they should find their actual strengths and try to work upon those things.
That's
So,
true.
thank you, Sriram, for taking out time to share your experiences. It would be really helpful to a lot of the students. Thank you.
Thank you, Madhur. Thank you.